All right, another question that people commonly ask us is, can we do something that's sugar-free? Meaning not using honey, not using agave nectar, not using maple syrup, but something that literally has no glycemic effect whatsoever or an insulin effect whatsoever. And usually the baking alternative or the sweetening alternative puts us into one or two categories. It's going to either be artificial sweeteners, your aspartames, your combo products, your Splendas and things like that, or a natural product called stevia. Now, we don't use the chemical products in our baking, don't use them at home, and don't give them to my family. So a lot of things that we will do to sweeten things naturally, we will use a stevia for. The issue when you're trying to introduce stevia into your baked goods is not necessarily the sweetness of the stevia. It has to do, I'm holding a measuring spoon here, yeah. It has to do with the amount of volume and the properties that sugar has when you put it into baking. So the brand that we usually use, this is one of them, it's called Sweet Leaf. And again, I don't work for any of these companies, but they're the ones that we use in our family. So it's gluten-free, and it is nice because it comes in just sample packs, so you can get a big jug of it or whatever. And what it says is that each packet is as sweet as 2 teaspoons of sugar. All right, so let's watch the visual, and I'm going to show you why we have a hard time putting it in baked goods. All right, so when you measure this out, this is a half of a teaspoon, and one packet doesn't even make half a teaspoon, but it has the sweetness of 2 teaspoons. Okay, so now we're going to look at this not from a sweetness standpoint, but from a volume standpoint. Let's say that our recipe called for 2 teaspoons of sugar. So this is a teaspoon measurement right here. It would be 2 of these spoonfuls, and we decided to use the stevia instead. There's less volume. There's less mass there. So when you're baking, now we don't usually use it in terms of teaspoons, we usually use it in terms of cups or grams, however you're measuring it, you're gonna have less. So if your recipe called for a cup of sugar and now you're using markedly less, the amount of volume that your dough is gonna have is gonna be smaller. And it's been my experience that just the straight up stevia product doesn't function how regular sugar does. So that actually makes the final product come out a little bit funky. The other thing with stevia is that some people can taste like a metal aftertaste to it, so it doesn't give you that reliable sweet flavor. Sometimes it tastes kind of like metallic. So yeah, can we try to make something that's sugar-free? We definitely can, but just have that whereabout that once you take the actual volume of whatever sweetener you're using and reduce it, you may have the sweetness, but now you're going to have a change in the consistency of your dough and how that product bakes and ultimately comes out as a finished product.